the one and only person who's going to be deciding our futures.
I don't think so.
Mr. Altman, here's your shot.
I would create a set of safety standards focused on what you said in your third hypothesis.
The whole arc of OpenAI, frankly, is a little troubling because the reason for starting OpenAI was to create a counterweight to Google.
Friday morning, November 17th, 2023. At OpenAI's headquarters, it felt like any other day. But in just a few hours, Silicon Valley would witness the most shocking coup in its recent history. At noon, Sam Altman, the man credited with bringing artificial intelligence into every living room, received a sudden video call. On the other end, Ilya Sutskever, OpenAI's chief scientist, and his longtime friend. What Sutskever told him would change everything. Minutes later, the announcement went public. Sam Altman had been fired as CEO, effective immediately.
When the company that gave us ChatGPT fired its CEO.
The board cited a deliberative review and said Altman had not been consistently candid in his communications. Just like that, the brain behind ChatGPT was out. Greg Brockman, president of OpenAI and Altman's closest ally, was next. He learned he had been removed as board chair. Moments later, he resigned in protest. His two-word internal email said it all. "I quit." Behind the scenes, the reasons ran deeper. Board members, including Helen Toner, would later claim Altman withheld key information about AI deployments and downplayed safety concerns. To some, he was pushing too fast. To others, he was simply hiding too much.
You just launched GPT-5.
A kid born today will never be smarter than AI.
Within hours, shock rippled through the tech world. Investors panicked. Microsoft, OpenAI's biggest backer, watched its shares fall. A private company worth $86 billion had just imploded, and no one had answers. OpenAI's board had one job: to protect humanity from unsafe artificial intelligence. They believed Altman was no longer fit to lead that mission, but in doing so, they may have triggered the very chaos they hoped to prevent. Inside the walls of OpenAI, confusion turned to disbelief, and disbelief turned to fury. What the board didn't expect was war. The firing sent a tremor through OpenAI's headquarters. Many employees learned about it from a blog post. There had been no warning, no explanation, just the sudden erasure of the company's founder and the heart of its mission. That same day, Ilya Sutskever, the board member who delivered the news to Altman, faced the team. He tried to justify the decision. This was not a hostile takeover, he insisted. This was about safety, about mission. But no one was convinced. By nightfall, the exits had begun. The head of research, senior engineers, product leads, all gone.
90% of OpenAI employees threatened to leave with Altman.
They weren't just resigning out of loyalty. They were walking away from the board's judgment. And they weren't alone. Greg Brockman posted a public statement defending Altman and hinting at deeper turmoil. His voice added fuel to a growing fire. Something inside OpenAI had broken. Not just leadership, but trust. On Sunday, OpenAI's employees took an extraordinary step. They drafted a letter to the board, blunt and uncompromising. 700 of the company's 770 employees signed it. That letter gave the board two choices: reinstate Altman, or watch us all walk. It was more than protest, it was open revolt. And behind the scenes, Satya Nadella had already offered them a new home. OpenAI's army was about to defect. Even Ilya Sutskever, who helped orchestrate Altman's firing, had a change of heart. He signed the employee letter. He publicly apologized. The board's support was collapsing from the inside. By Sunday night, OpenAI was a company at war with itself. The board was surrounded. The staff was unified. Their leader had a new empire waiting for him. The only question left was whether there'd be anything left to lead. While OpenAI burned from the inside, Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, was already making moves. As the board fumbled for control, he stepped into the chaos like a chess master. Altman had options, but Microsoft had billions invested, infrastructure in place, and a CEO with ice in his veins. Nadella made one thing clear: come here and bring your army. By Sunday night, the world knew Sam Altman wasn't just gone. He'd been adopted, and Microsoft wasn't offering a job. They were offering a fortress. The plan was clear. Every OpenAI staffer had a role waiting for them in Nadella's new division. One board decision had nearly vaporized $86 billion in value. And now the company itself was hanging by a thread. The board scrambled. They reached out to Anthropic, Scale AI, even GitHub. No one wanted the job. No one wanted the mess. They had won a coup, and now stood alone in the rubble. In desperation, the board appointed Emmett Shear as interim CEO. He had nothing to do with OpenAI. Staff saw it as a smokescreen, proof that the board was negotiating in bad faith. Nadella's play wasn't just defensive, it was predatory and brilliant. If OpenAI collapsed, he'd absorb its top talent, its research, and its future. If it survived, he'd still win, now holding leverage over both board and CEO. By Monday morning, OpenAI's board had to make a choice. The staff was gone in spirit. The leader had moved on, and Microsoft held all the cards. But Altman hadn't made his final move yet. By Monday night, negotiations had turned frantic. The board that fired Altman was now trying to unfire him, but they were also trying to save face. And Sam? Sam wasn't in a rush to come back. They missed the deadline. Altman's reinstatement was all but agreed, until it wasn't. Somewhere in the middle of pride and panic, the board let the clock run out. By Tuesday morning, the staff had had enough. 738 employees, over 90% of OpenAI, had signed a letter promising they would leave. All of them. It was the cleanest coup reversal in tech history. The board's credibility had crumbled. Their scientists had turned. Even Ilya Sutskever, who'd pulled the trigger, now stood with Sam. Microsoft let the tension build. Their message was simple: you can keep the building, but the brain is coming with us. Just 4 days after the most dramatic boardroom coup in Silicon Valley, it was over. Altman was back, Brockman was back, and the board that tried to stop them, gone. The board was rebuilt from the ground up. No more idealists with absolute power. Altman had returned, not just as CEO, but with more control than ever. The civil war at OpenAI was over. But in the shadows of that brief insurrection, a bigger question remained. What exactly were they fighting to build? In March of 2024, the board's claims were put under the microscope. The result? Sam Altman had made mistakes, but nothing that warranted his removal. The report concluded there had been a significant breakdown in trust, but no deception serious enough to justify the coup. Months later, board member Helen Toner broke her silence. She claimed Altman had misled them, hiding key launches like ChatGPT, and underplaying internal safety controls.
A former OpenAI board member now going public with the first detailed backstory behind CEO Sam Altman's dramatic ousting last fall.
She said they feared he'd sabotage them if he caught wind of their plans. That's why the firing came swift and secret. OpenAI rebuilt its board, this time with seasoned veterans from Google, Facebook, and the US Treasury. It was no longer a quirky nonprofit run by idealists. It had become a real company. Some didn't stay. In late 2024, CTO Mira Murati and other key figures left to launch a rival startup. They took $2 billion in seed funding and a slice of OpenAI's legacy with them. Microsoft hadn't taken over OpenAI, but they didn't need to. They gained board access, stock power, and the deepest product integration in tech. In the AI wars of the future, OpenAI may still carry the name, but it's Microsoft that's holding the sword. The Civil War wasn't just about leadership. It was about power, about who decides how far we go and how fast. Altman won, but the debate over safety, control, and ambition didn't disappear. It just went quiet. A new age of AI is dawning. The code will keep improving, the models will grow stronger, and the people who write the rules will always matter more than the machines they build. This was OpenAI's darkest hour, a power struggle cloaked in principles, trust, and ambition. The craziest coup in Silicon Valley ended with a hero's return. But the next chapter, that hasn't been written yet. OpenAI was built to stop the future from spiraling out of control. But in trying to control the future, they almost erased themselves from it. A board meant to protect humanity ended up nearly destroying the company humanity needed most. Some say Sam Altman is a visionary. Others call him reckless. But one thing's clear. When the world's most powerful AI company faced an existential crisis, its employees didn't side with safety policies. They sided with Sam. And so the question now isn't just what AI will become, it's who we're trusting to build it. Because in the race to create artificial general intelligence, the biggest threat may not be the machines, but the people leading them.